Hampton Leftist Live on Sunday. I am with my Fred Hampton Leftist co-host, RJ. RJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing good today, man. It's beautiful, mostly sunny day outside. Still kind of chilly, but I'm having a great day. How about you?
Oh man, you know what? Fuck you. It's rainy, it's cloudy. What in the hell? And you're just like, oh, it's great here, tooting your own horn. Oh, you know what? This stream is over. I'm done. No, just kidding. No, yeah, this has been, last week was an eventful week, regarding, uh, some things that some politicians have said that, were deeply inaccurate, especially from a leftist perspective. There was the Chauvin verdict that, took that released a pressure valve on the angst and the anger in America. Uh, and there was a whole host of other things that, happened last week that we can discuss. Um, and one of the things that has come up on my radar just within the last few moments, actually, you know what? Let me put this up on the screen. Let me see. Let's see. Let's do this. So as you can see here, it says 46% of Republicans think that the Derek Chauvin guilty verdict is wrong. So this is from a CBS News YouGov poll that was taken. And as you can see, under Republicans is 46% think that it was the wrong verdict, compared to Democrats with only 10% and independents 25% respectively. What is your initial thoughts about this, RJ?
I think really it's mostly due to response of the culture war. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Trump has really got the cop vote. I think he got what 90% of all police precincts and police stations in the country voted for Donald Trump. So
Mm-hmm.
this really doesn't surprise me at one bit because now Republicans are all, pro police, don't tread on me or whatever. And I'm not really surprised by that 40% mark. And of course, they're going to say, oh, see, that's just a Trump faction. But in reality, this is what really the Republican Party is. You
Yeah.
know, when
Mm-hmm.
half of them agree that they got the verdict wrong, when we saw the cops literally kill a man in the streets unlawfully. So this
Mm-hmm.
doesn't surprise me. And independence overall is really why it swung in the favor of getting this guy convicted. Because even independents are like, okay, I'm not into this politically at all, but he literally had his knee on his neck for
Mm-hmm.
9 minutes, even after he was unconscious. And
Mm-hmm.
people knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
So there was no excuse to this. So
Yeah.
seeing independents overwhelmingly 75% clip be saying that the trial was fair. And of course, Democrats at 90% clip to 10% said it was fair as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, looking at some of the responses, KF Gibson said, "Are we surprised?" And RJ, really, are we really surprised? Let's be real.
Oh no, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, to me, there's absolutely. It's just like, of course, and to be honest with you, even if it said 20% of the Democrats, I would have said I wouldn't have been surprised even at that. If the ratio for Democrats was higher, it just goes to show that the culture war actually does have a direct effect on some of the. Uh, it has a direct effect on some of the policies that we are fighting for and ones that we're for, like for instance, criminal justice reform, because you have a good chunk of the country that honestly thinks that Derek Chauvin did nothing wrong. And this is one of the reasons why the criminal justice system, as we know it, has to be rebuilt. Because if it's not rebuilt, then people will still keep fighting for people like the Derek Chauvins and the Kyle Rittenhouses, you know? Uh, so, yeah, I look at somebody like, what Derek Chauvin did, and people like him have heroes and have sympathizers. And you feel how it's becoming uh, more manifest that we have fascist sympathizers as well as people who have a fascist ideology, even though they themselves don't recognize that they do.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the problem too, because we really have to do better. And it's not the responsibility of leftist jobs to bring everybody to the left. I even say to my liberal
Yeah.
friends too, like, hey, if you could bring some of your liberal friends who are further to the right than you and bring them to the left on a couple of issues, that's a good thing. We shouldn't be all the ones carrying the work. And I don't agree with trying to swing some of these far right lunatics to the left, because that's some of them are beyond reproach. Most of them you could, if you talk about different policies and
Hmm.
talk about really the structural issues of the country, so that could be worked out.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
in general, I think we do have a problem really in this country with criminal justice reform and with the culture war being mixed into it. Because what Donald Trump has really shown, and even Obama too, like he would use culture war as a term of suppression.
Hmm.
Donald Trump uses the culture war to ignite flames. So for instance, one thing Obama is good at doing is like for the boycott, the NBA boycott, he's suppressed, and a
Yeah.
fire was growing, and Obama just pours water on it and liquidizes a movement.
Yeah.
Trump pours gasoline on embers and it makes an explosion. So it's two
Yeah.
different types of tactics that the culture war can play on a society.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that, I mean, there's really the reform that they're talking about is merely surface level. Um, Even look at the name criminal justice. I mean, there's no reformative justice there. There's no rehabilitation within the system to truly rehabilitate someone. You can't truly rehabilitate someone, by, especially if they are a nonviolent, maybe say a nonviolent drug offender, and you place them in prison, and then something happens and you put them in solitary confinement. It doesn't make sense. That's not true rehabilitation. And the thing is that what are you really rehabilitating them from anyway?
Right.
Because sometimes the laws that they break aren't necessarily ethical laws. Like for instance, um, uh, I forgot I think it was Loving versus Virginia. I think it was. It was a
Mm-hmm.
couple that a white man and a black woman, they decided to get married. It was against the law, and they literally had to go to court over it. And of course, they won the case. But the thing is that was an unethical law that was on the books. So by them breaking the law, were they criminals? Not necessarily, because it was an unjust law. And so, as somebody who I honestly think that at the very least, my compromise is decriminalizing all drugs. For someone to be in prison for a nonviolent drug offense, to me is it's asinine and it's immoral because, you know, somebody taking drugs is really more of it's not a crime endangering yourself. Not in the, I think I said that wrong. It is a crime, taking drugs is a crime against yourself, not necessarily against others. But the thing is that people do things to themselves all the time, but are they arrested for it? Like if you purposefully burn yourself, are you going to get arrested for burning yourself?
That's a fair argument.
You know. So truth be told, some of these laws are, are out of whack, or they don't take in the nuance. And plus, a lot of these laws were honestly created on the basis of separating and discriminating against certain groups of people.
Right.
So, I mean, a lot of the elements of the criminal justice system is built on white supremacy, capitalism, imperialism, and racism. So, so there, it definitely needs to be dismantled and changed. But the fact that you have this huge swath of the country that still thinks it's okay means that they will never change until the laws change, and then that has to change how they view things. You sometimes it can't be the other way around. Sometimes I hate to use the word force, but in a sense, you have to force that change by the laws in that respect.
Yeah, I guess what we struggle with our country right now is like what steps are needed to actually bring about the change, because federally is that's no chance right now.
That's the first
State-wise,
raspberry I ever heard on Fred Hampton Leftists. So
yeah, that's kind of my thing. I do that a lot
yeah,
when people are trying to, But the point I'm making is like
yeah,
statewide is probably the best solution. And people, I'm gonna say this, and people aren't gonna really want to hear it, but
mm-hmm.
for decriminalization, you do have some states that are trying to do it, but a lot of them are actually red states. And the problem is because they want to make money off of it. I mean, look at the marijuana industry in general. Like it's heavily decentralized, meaning that any old Joe can really grow their own stuff if you have the proper licenses or if you don't get caught.
Mm-hmm.
Any other person could sell.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have multiple different type of individuals selling this type of product with various little checks because it's all underground.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why Republicans want to centralize it is because you can really make your own monopoly over the entire good, then sell it, then tax it so it can bring money for the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're really turning a decentralized commodity and business model to a centralized one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the tobacco industry was before it got pretty big in the 50s and 60s. So I think that's the type of model that's going to move forward. And that's why I think even some Republican states are going to do marijuana if they figure it out. If they're doing the culture war of, oh, marijuana is bad, that's, of course that's not going to happen. But if they actually be capitalists, which we know they have that ability to be,
Yeah.
that's, I think, the move they're going to go moving forward. And the reason why federally it's not going to happen is because even Kamala said herself, oh, we're too busy for you, fuck off. So so that's a disappointing thing as well. And, Uncle Joe, everybody can have drugs. No one can have drugs but his kids. So that's kind of his business model too, which is also the unfortunate part. But, that's my take. That's my take on it.